welcome Greg Stempfle.
Hello, everybody. It's great to see a lot of new faces here, and this is our first campaign conference for the 2008 campaign season. And I'm just going to give you a broad overview of what it means to be running as a third-party candidate. Just a couple quick housekeeping issues. In the folder everyone got, there's paperwork for running for office, there's district maps, there's also a ballot for our presidential straw poll, which we will be conducting basically during the lunch period. We'll have a little formal thing before lunch, and then the ballots won't be due until after lunch, so everyone can have time to discuss about the candidates themselves. And we will be having a representative from the Wayne Allen Root campaign. Will be here later. Just to start off, I wanted to put a few things in perspective. Just give you a quick history of the Libertarian Party of Michigan. The Libertarian Party was founded in 1971 by a group of Ayn Rand objectivists, some anti-war activists, and some Republicans that were disillusioned with Richard Nixon's wage and price controls. And so in 1972, we ran our first president, John Haas, and a delegate from Virginia in the Presidential Electoral College voted for him that year. And so the Libertarian Party got its first Electoral College vote in 1972. 1980, Ed Clark ran for president. His vice presidential candidate was a millionaire, meaning we could spend as much money as we wanted. And 1980 was the first time and only time the Libertarian Party candidate got 1 million votes for president. From that momentum, the Libertarian Party of Michigan ran over 100 candidates in 1982. In 1988, Ron Paul was our candidate for president. He did fairly well. The Libertarian Party of Michigan really hit its stride around the 1994 year when John Kuhn was our candidate for Senate. That was probably at the time one of the most active libertarian races the country had ever seen, and he got just under 5% for Senate. We've set a goal this year of running 100 candidates per public office, which we've done in 1982, in 1998, and the year 2000. In 1997, Fred Collins was elected to the city council in Berkeley, and ever since then, the Libertarian Party of Michigan has had about half a dozen elected officials throughout the state, in Oakland County, some in Grand Rapids, St. Clair Shores. So for about a decade now, we've had a pretty strong showing across the state. Just to put some things in perspective in terms of our election results. The state rep candidates traditionally have gotten about 3% of the vote. When John Kuhn ran for state representative in 1996, we put as much resources behind him as any major party candidate, and he got about 15%. So I just want to put everyone in perspective, not to be discouraging, but just to give you a realistic goal for what most of our candidates end up doing. So there's two trains of thought as to what the purpose of a third party is. Some people want to advocate running for office in order to replace one of the major parties. But unfortunately, we haven't had a new major party since the Civil War, when a small group of anti-war or anti-slavery people came together and formed the Republican Party. And for the last 150 years, the Democrats and Republicans have basically been running the show. And another train of thought is that we are here to put pressure on the major parties, and this is kind of where my feelings are, is the Democrats and Republicans have a system set up that keeps them in power, and they're not going to make it easy for us. So what we need to do is to get our ideas out, put pressure on the major parties to potentially adopt our platform. In the 1930s, the Socialist Party ran very aggressively for a couple decades, and most of their platform was adopted. A lot of good ideas come from third parties. Like I said, the anti-slavery issue was a third-party issue. I'd like to point out that in 1994, John Kuhn's big issue was gun control. And that was what he hammered on, and he got 5% of the vote. And since then, no one in Michigan has even touched gun control because they know that there's a groundswell of support for something like that. So constantly putting pressure on the major parties is kind of what I like to push. I had a lot of fun watching the Republican presidential debates because Ron Paul could shift the entire focus of the debate by forcing the Republicans to defend a lot of their policies that they just take for granted. And that's really what I like is running, is to put these ideas out, make the Democrats and Republicans try to defend some of their policies. And hopefully they will adopt some of them. And there's also the chance that we could win sporadic seats throughout the country, which we have. So there's a two-pronged strategy for being a third-party candidate. I just wanted to go over the difference between major and minor parties in Michigan. Right now, the Democrats and Republicans are the only major parties, which means they have primaries, and they often get invited to a lot more debates because of that. I've been excluded from debates in the past because whomever's organizing them only invites people that were in the primary. So that's really the big difference between the major and minor parties. The other minor parties you're going to run into this year are the U.S. Taxpayers Party, the Green Party, and the Natural Law Party. And if you are running in a race with another third-party candidate, I would advise you to get in touch with them. I've often had a really good rapport with other third parties that I've been running against, especially when I've run for Congress. And you need to constantly remind the local media that you are on the ballot. And when you've got more than one third-party candidate kind of working with you, you can really, get a lot more coverage that way. So I just wanted to talk really briefly about what the Libertarian Party of Michigan can do for you as a candidate. Obviously, you're here. We're having a conference to help train our candidates. We can also offer our membership list to our candidates so they can seek out the membership within their district to help them on their campaign and potential source of fundraising. We're also going to offer website assistance for candidates this year. We'll be hosting subdomains, and that will be a topic addressed later on. We don't offer too much financial support from Michigan or for our candidates. Thanks to John McCain and McCain-Feingold, there are a lot of more restrictions on our ability to raise funds. We have a generic campaign fund and then an administrative fund, and Leonard can touch on that.
Welcome, Bill Howe.
I'm going to be very brief here. I'm on the schedule to talk about the national and state conventions. As far as the national convention goes, everyone has one of these handouts in their folder that explains what you should do if you want to be a delegate to the national convention. We're permitted 34 delegates this year. At this point, I understand that Emily Salvette has been contacted by 16 people who want to be delegates and 5 people who want to be alternates. Basic procedure here is if you want to be a delegate to the National Convention in Denver in May, that you should get your local affiliate to certify you as a delegate by no later than April 15, to send your name, address, contact information to Emily, and then after April 15 and prior to the convention, the Libertarian Executive Committee can add to that list. As a general proposition, if you're certainly planning on going to Denver, and I certainly encourage everyone to do it, soon after I originally joined the Libertarian Party, I attended the 1979 National Convention in Los Angeles where we nominated Ed Clark, and it was the most exciting thing politically I'd ever done. It was really fun, and I'm sure this convention is going to be very fun this year. Secondly, our state convention is scheduled for June, and Bill Gelano, who's on the committee organizing that, is going to talk a little bit about what's going to happen there. But that's our primary nominating convention at which our statewide and district offices will have their nominees selected.